We are live, Judge.
All right, good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. It's now 10 a.m. We're here for the regular session in the Hunt County Commissioners Court. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order and ask Commissioner Martin to lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flags. Please stand.
Shall we bow? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the gift of life that you have given us. We ask you to give us wisdom, patience, and also go down the right path in life. We thank you for letting the community come together. It does show an interest. We appreciate that. We ask you to please bless this great country that we live in. We ask you to bless the healthcare workers, the military, and also the people that are here. In Christ's name, we ask all these things. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and protect the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, everyone. We have Commissioner Hutchins, Monroe, Martin, and Harrison present. I'm Judge Stovall presiding over the meeting. Commissioners, you have the minutes from August 27th, 2024 regular session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 4, minutes, September 3rd, 2024 special session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioners Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff. They may be placed on a future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Do we have anybody sign up? Any? Well, that's fine. Hey, come forward, state your name and address.
My name is Renee Shelton. I live at 514 Mink in Greenville, Texas, 75402. And I am here based on what I read in Facebook about what y'all are doing, since we don't get publicity about your events. We just live here. And the increase that you plan on making, I'm sure you know, is the best thing for the county. But as a citizen living with high inflation and after observing how other governmental entities function, they frequently sell bonds, and they can do so many more things right away. And I know we're 100 years behind in this county. So I would encourage you to consider rethinking what you do here today, and I would encourage the rest of the people to let you know what they think. I'm not sure how many people are here, but I would treasure the thought of knowing. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Anyone else wish to speak? Please state your name and address.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Jones. I live at 7395 County Road 2537 in Quinlan, Texas. I'm not only a landowner, I'm a business owner, and with the amount of inflation higher than what it's ever been, the economy taking a tank, food increased by 67%. You want to increase the property tax by 17%. That's a huge amount. If you have somebody that's trying to struggle with trying to buy food, gas for their car, or medicine, you add this 17% on top of these people, it's the end of these people. That is not right. That is a shame. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. You've got $42 million sitting in the coffer. Do something with that money. Don't raise our taxes. Do the bonds. And by the way, that $42 million, it should be going to other projects like fixing our roads. You're damaging our vehicles. I'm really upset and ashamed that this is even coming up. We have to be careful because with this election coming up, if the proper people don't get in, we are going to see a raise in Texas on that end also. So please, represent the Hunt County that who's elected you in here and do the right thing by the people is all I'm asking. And if this passes, probably won't be voting for any one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak?
Good morning. My name is Greg Mulder. I'm a
Address, please.
address 4688 County Road 1089, Celeste, Texas.
Thank you.
I'm a property owner, homeowner, small business owner. I'm very opposed to raising property taxes. Property taxes are the only thing, when I make a decision to buy a truck, when I make a decision to buy something for my business, I take taxes into consideration. I bought my house 20 years ago. My taxes are not based on what I paid for my house. My taxes, my property taxes are based on what my neighbor paid for their house. It's not within my control. You guys arbitrarily set an amount on what my house is worth. You're taxing me on unrealized capital gains based on that. I've got no control over that. I'm a fiscal conservative. I would like to understand why you think it's such a large increase is needed. Property taxes are a lightning rod for any kind of a political environment in the state of Texas. We have some of the highest property taxes around, and this increase seems like it's not only not needed, but it's very excessive. And I would be willing to bet that you guys are probably trying to get this in under the radar before taxes are, or property taxes are limited in some way by the legislature. Just my opinion, my theory, I guess. I want you to reconsider what you're doing and maybe turn this down. I don't see, based on some of the things that I've heard, there doesn't seem like there's a real reason for it if we're running a surplus. So do the right thing and don't punish the business owners and homeowners in this county.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Good morning. Jeff Phillips, 603 Mink Drive here in Greenville, Texas. I'm not going to reiterate what everyone seems to be talking about here this morning, but what I think all of us in this room, and including you understand that everything is increased, whether it's insurance, whether it's mortgage rates, whether it's milk, eggs, whatever it is. And for me to offset that, I need to dip into my savings account or my emergency fund to offset that. I'm just asking that this county do the same thing. You've got $42 million sitting in an account. I ask you offset that for this increase. The last 2 years, you've increased the budgets. I think, let's see, in 22-23 fiscal year, there was an increase of almost 7% over previous year. These numbers might not be accurate, but they're directionally correct. So bear with me on that. 23 to 24 fiscal year, it was a 15.47% increase over the previous year. This budget calls for an almost 17% increase, so over $7 million increase. I'm asking you to just use the $42 million you've already collected, offset it, do I think it's a no revenue increase or even below. Do the right thing for the citizens of Hunt County. I'm not only a landowner but a business owner here in town, And any increased taxes right now just limits the amount of money that I can spend on other small businesses or to inject back in the economy. So I'm just asking you to reconsider what you're proposing here today. from a
Thank you.
budget standpoint.
Anyone else? Come forward. Good morning, sir.
Hewitt. I live 6381 County Road, 2520, Roy City, just right outside of town. I can't say any more. I'm not going to repeat what this young lady and this gentleman said everything I wanted to say, except for one question I would pretty much like to ask is, I understand, and this may be wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I understand this must be wrong. I mean, I may be wrong about this, the numbers, but I understand that Precinct 2 takes in 38% of the budget roughly. And then when all the funds are put in, then each district, if I said that correctly,
Each precinct. Yes, sir.
precinct, sorry, thank you, are getting equal amounts, okay? Well, Precinct 2 is supposedly the bigger precinct. Why are we having to share with the others? Why aren't we taking our tax money that we're pulling out of Precinct 2 and using it in Precinct 2? You know, I don't think that's on the agenda for today, but it's a question I would like to get an answer to. Okay.
I'll try to answer that question for you.
Yes, sir.
Every year we discuss that, and the same thing you're talking about comes up. The issues with the court and the other commissioners is Commissioner Precinct 4 has got the most roads, and I think the most dirt roads, which are expensive to maintain. Precinct 2 you're talking about has the most revenue, but the fewest roads, and I think the most paved roads. And when you start looking at road mileage and how much they have to do and how much they got to repair, there's really not a magic way to kind of figure it out. I mean, because I get it. I mean, we've discussed what your point is, but then that really takes away from the precinct that's got the most miles on it. And I think Precinct 1 at one time had the most gravel roads, which is really expensive to maintain. And so, I mean, everybody's got their point and all, and it's real hard to be fair and equal without just being equal. And if we can ever somebody can come up and tell us a magic way to do it, I think the court's open to it, but we've not figured it out yet, that everybody can be happy and we can maintain the roads equally in all of the precincts.
Okay, well, that kind of makes sense. So that's just a question I wanted to get answered.
Judge, may
Like
I
said,
say something in
I'm
reference
sorry.
to that? Basically, you have gentleman here in Precinct 4 that does have more dirt roads, and then gravel, and then oil. You have mileage in different areas. Basically, you have Precinct 4, like you said, more miles, and then you have Precinct 2, if I'm in correction, 1 also has mileage, and then Precinct 3. And we've been playing volleyball or ping pong with Precinct 2 because the district every 10 years moves back and forth. He has a lot more, and this was brought into it also, that at this point of time, the gentleman has more construction in that. Everything's coming from the west. So that's what's going on.
And the worst part for 2 is that he's got the heaviest traffic.
sorry?
So he's got the heaviest traffic. He's got all the dump trucks and all of the cement trucks with people building houses and all, so,
Yeah, we're getting a lot of that from that.
yeah. So it's a tough deal. We just do the best we can.
All right, thank you.
You bet, thank you. Anybody else?
Good morning. My name is
Pull the mic down a little bit. There you go. Thank you.
Daniela Morrow. I'm a homeowner and a small business owner. And for the past 5 years, I have been on the appraisal review board. And then when I resigned last year, the amount of people, of older people who came, who couldn't afford their taxes anymore on the homes they built and they worked for and they raised their children in, and they spent all their lives, and now they're getting told, well, you may gotta move if you can't afford your taxes anymore, is terrifying. I would love if you could give Brent South a call and ask him how many more people in the past 3 years come to the Hunt County Appraisal District and, how do you say, and bitch about their taxes. Excuse me for this is not my
That's
first
fine.
language, but
Protest.
that's what's happening, and it's.
We won't hold that against you.
I'm sorry. It's terrifying, and my husband and I are planning to build a house, and we've been saving money for the past 3 years, and I'm scared to death that I'm going to be this little old lady in 20 years going to the tax office and not being able to pay my taxes on my house that I've worked for. So please take that under consideration.
Sure.
Thank you for coming, Dylan.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Can we take a mic over to her?
Okay, first of all.
Name, please, name and address, please.
I'm Nancy Crandall, 1120 Ethan Drive, Greenville, Texas, 75402. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, to the answer to this one lady's question is that one thing is, once you hit 65, and if you're low income and you can't afford your taxes, you can have them deferred here in Greenville, Texas. And whenever you go to sell your house, and you got a chunk of taxes to pay, which I'm facing right now. But in accordance with the streets, for some reason, about 3 years ago, in my neighborhood, which is a nice neighborhood, fairly new neighborhood, all the streets were fine except the 3 cul-de-sacs. And there's 165 houses in this development, and we're right off the interstate, not very far. For some reason, somebody got money from y'all and came in and repaved all those streets. The 3 cul-de-sacs were the only place that had a problem where the big trucks turned around. They repaved every street in that development. They also came in and tore out a bunch of the concrete curbs. And all the neighbors were saying, what are they doing? There's nothing wrong with our street. There's nothing wrong with the curbs. Why are they doing this? Why is the city paying for all this whenever so many more streets in Greenville need the work? And ours didn't.
So you're in the city of Greenville.
Yes, I'm right
don't-
on the other side of the
We
interstate.
don't control anything the city of Greenville does with their street repair or anything. We have no
Oh, you
jurisdiction.
don't?
No, we repair and take care of county roads that are not in incorporated
Okay.
cities.
Okay, well, I don't know what happened.
I don't,
but that-
so I can't answer your
Yeah.
question because I don't know anything about it.
Well, there's a problem there, so,
Sounds like it.
yeah. And I'm definitely against raising the taxes anymore, for sure. I've got $25,000 worth of taxes I've got to come up with now.
I understand, ma'am.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Morgan Martinez. I live at 3799 County Road 2208 in Greenville. First, I wanted to say thank you to my commissioner. I've definitely noticed you've made a difference in our roads since you've taken over. I really appreciate that. I see an effort, especially on my street. So I also want to say thank you to Mark for your transparency and notifying all of us about today, because I think a lot of us wouldn't have known what was going on. First, my family's been in this town forever. We're home builders. I own a small property management company here in town. I've worked in property management for about 12 years. I see what this economy is doing to people, especially property taxes. I see it every day. I have tenants that can't pay their rent hardly anymore because it's deciding between rent, groceries, utilities, taking care of their kids and their families. And I see people aren't buying homes anymore because I'm also a realtor. And, you know, I feel like taxpayers are just getting hit from every direction right now. And I feel like you guys have an opportunity to help prevent that in one small way. I know you can't make a difference on large, higher levels, but I just ask that you really consider lessening the burden where you can when you have the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward.
Hello, my name is Cassidy Taylor. I live at 7291 County Road 2537 in Quinlan, Texas. I actually I'm a young adult, young mom struggling to provide for my family. I am also here to oppose the taxes, but actually the last speaker here, I think said it perfectly. I am one of those people who is struggling to provide for my family. The 2-year-old boy that's out there right now is who I'm struggling to provide for right now. And I am one of those people who has to decide between paying water or paying any kind of utility, paying for groceries, paying for mortgage, paying the taxes on my land. I'm one of those people. So I'm just another young adult here trying to provide my opinion, provide my, my worries as well, and ask you guys to, once again, like the previous speaker said, reconsider increasing the taxes.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come up, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have said this earlier. It's one of the things that when you raise the taxes, that's going to raise, not in my case, but it's going to people that have apartments or rental property where they're renting a house somewhere. Well, the homeowner is not going to bear that cost. Okay, that means that person's rent's going to go up. Okay, so that's something else to consider. And we do have a large amount of money that could probably be used because you're wanting to, is it 7 million we're wanting to raise the taxes to total?
The budget we're proposing that I proposed is a little over 7 million, but 2.5 of that is new property. New properties that came onto the roll, there's 2.5 million of it.
All right. Well, just
Roughly, I think that's the right number.
Yes, sir. Well, it's just, then okay, then there's 5 million.
Correct. On existing properties.
And I didn't have time to look at all the, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to look at all the budget. I just saw it this morning.
Right.
Posted about 165 pages or something. I didn't have time to go over that. And it doesn't surprise me that I'm surprised it's not even more than that. But, yeah, just take that in consideration also.
Sure.
I mean, we've got that money, and then also we've got, folks like those that are renting that are just like this young lady here. That's going to increase their rent, So it's not just the property tax, it increases other people's lives as well.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
My name is Jana Rose, and I live at 2304 Park Street in Greenville, Texas. And I'm here to try to get you guys to reconsider this giant tax increase. In 2019, my husband and I both moved here. Now we commute to Rockwall 35 minutes every day, and our children go to school there. We moved here because our housing in Greenville was affordable. I realize that this has much more to do than just Greenville, but Greenville is the most populated city in Hunt County. I want to give you some statistics, but before I do that, I want to ask if any of y'all saw the picture that was posted on social media of Fish Food Bank a couple weeks ago. There were 150 cars sitting in that parking lot asking for food assistance. Most of the cars were middle-class vehicles, something that you and I would drive to work in every day. That hit me like a ton of bricks. And before I go into any more, I want to give you some numbers. 50% of our community are renters in Greenville. 61% of the commerce community are renters. In Rockwall County, 19% of their population are renters. If you know how this works, once you increase the taxes, the brunt of that will be felt by our renters in this community. So currently in Greenville, we are sitting at about 14% below poverty line and 2% below poverty line comparatively in Rockwall. So this is a big deal for this community. I can support improvements in our county and our different communities, but not at this increase. I encourage you to know your community and what their actual struggles are here, such as hunger, before you decide to make this decision. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, John Kelso, 6005 Horn Drive, Greenville. I'm not here to complain about the tax rate. I don't really have a big issue with that, or the budget, although I do have a comment about the budget if I don't run out of time at the end. I did want to tag team on to the discussion you had about the disparity between the 4 precincts over the roads, and one has a lot more dirt roads than the other, one has a lot more rock roads. And I just wonder, how did that come to be? Back in the past, maybe somebody spent their budget for their precinct a little bit better than the next guy, or wasted it on equipment, one guy, and he couldn't afford anything but a rock road. I don't know. But something happened to cause that disparity.
Growth, mostly.
Growth and the way you spend your money in that precinct's got to be some effect to it. I know you say there's no magic silver bullet, and you wish you knew what it was. I don't know what it is, but I wish you would take a look at maybe one way to help that is look at a unit road system. Instead of having 4 competing precincts competing for resources, have one that can help manage the whole county and fix some of that disparity between the precincts. That may not be a magic silver bullet, but maybe that's a tool that could be used that would help with that. I really wish this next year that you guys would take a look at that. I did say I wanted to comment about the budget. Don't have a complaint about it, but I do wish you would consider putting a lot of resources into the county fire departments with things getting hotter, climate getting hotter. I don't want to use the word climate change, but you know, things are getting hot, and every summer it gets hotter and hotter. Things are dry. You know that. You vote all the time on fire burns and things like that. With Encore and other people that are responsible for transmission lines, distribution lines, having trouble keeping them clear from trees and stuff like that, that just makes things worse, where potential for fire. I really wish you would take a look in the budget at trying to give more resources into the county fire departments, because they're going to need it. They need to be ready for when a fire comes, and they're going to need all the help they can financially on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Wait, got one.
Judge Stovall, I just wanted to comment on this 20-year-old girl, young lady. I serve on the Board of Development, and surprising to me, our average age in Hunt County is 20.
That makes us old, doesn't it, Renee?
Yes, it does.
I know, I can't either.
Hello, my name is Steve Anderson. I live at 3082 Legacy Oak Circle here in Greenville, 75402. I'm a small business owner, and most of my line of work in locksmithing, I see a lot of evictions here lately, where people cannot afford their rent, people cannot afford their banknotes on their house, and they're getting hit to the streets. I drive around here all the time. I'm seeing our homeless population increase significantly. I'm seeing people just walking everywhere who does not have a place to stay. Increasing the property taxes is going to hurt a lot of people by the amount that you're suggesting. My property tax, I haven't protested since I've been here. And over the last 5 years, my property itself has increased over $250,000, which is quite a bit. I mean, my land that I have, went from $50,000 an acre to $96,000 an acre in a period of 5 years. I just ask that you guys please reconsider, just for the people here. All the lockouts that we get, people can't afford to get their vehicles unlocked, get their houses unlocked. They're breaking windows. They can't afford their food. It's saddening. That's all I have to say.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Morning, my name is Richard Williams. I'm a retired public servant. I worked as a firefighter, paramedic, police officer, arson investigator. I've done all of those as both paid and volunteer and reserve. I did it for over 30 years, so I understand budget issues. I've been a part of the budget process in the past. Since retirement, I primarily sell real estate here in Hunt County. And I can tell you that on a daily basis, I talk to people that are coming here to get away from what you're proposing today. And so on behalf of myself and everybody I've talked to since last night and this morning, we're asking you, don't turn us into California. They're coming here to get away from what you're proposing, and we're asking you not to do it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Anyone else? No, got one coming. You almost got cut off.
Where am I live? Andy Howell, 231 County Road 3318, and I'm not a very good orator, so y'all bear with me. We've heard a lot of comments from some citizens today, and I really agree with a lot of what's been said. But as for my father-in-law and I and the previous speaker, retired, and we live on a fixed income. So it just keeps going through my mind is what you're trying to do, you're proposing, is to price me out of my home. I don't understand that. Why? Why can't I have what's mine? Because if the taxes keep going up, I'm not going to be able to afford them because my income doesn't go up. I live on a fixed income now, and I'm having to really understand what a budget is. I would just like to have that taken into consideration. And
Yes, sir.
I would like to echo the previous speaker. We don't need this place to turn into California at all.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
These are online comments that came into the public comments portal on the county's website. The first is from Shannon Manley. To the members of the Commissioners Court, I'm writing to express my concerns regarding the proposed Hunt County budget and tax increase for fiscal year 2024-2025. As a taxpayer in Hunt County and a resident in Precinct 4, I believe it's essential that we carefully consider the impact this will have on our community. The proposed budget suggests an increase in the tax rate, which along with rising property values would result in higher county taxes for homeowners whose taxes are not capped. While I understand the need for capital improvements and infrastructure projects, these must be carefully planned and funded in a way that does not overburden taxpayers. Hunt County has significant funds available, including ARPA funds, which should be strategically allocated to reduce the need for new taxes while still funding essential projects. Several essential services also require prioritization in this budget, such as radios for volunteer fire departments to join the new radio system and a stipend increase for those departments. It seems feasible to fund these vital services with the resources already on hand without raising taxes. I respectfully urge the Commissioner Precinct 4, Steve Harrison, and other members of the Commissioners Court to adopt a budget that does not increase taxes and to focus on using available resources effectively. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. The second comment is from Steve Vaughn. Judge Stovall, it's been reported by numerous public officials on social media that you plan to bring the Commissioners' meeting proposal to increase property taxes by 17%. It has also been reported that Hunt County has $42 million sitting in reserve with no plans for its use. So why the increase? As a longtime resident of Hunt County, property tax rates are already at an all-time high. Many of the appraisals are unjust, and even with a protest, they will not reduce them. As a citizen of this county, I'm stating that I vote no for any additional rate increases to our property taxes. Oh, and if you're not on social media, your meeting tomorrow and this reported increase is a hot topic. Thank you for your time, Steve Vaughn.
Thank you. All right. This time I'll close the public hearing. Move on to old business, action item 1, A1. Are we going to take action on that today, Daniel? No? Okay. We both 1 and 2 will not be heard today, will be tabled. Consent calendar, Commissioners, entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item B, approval of accounts payable.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of line item transfers.
Make a motion to approve line item transfers.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of budget amendments.
Make a motion to approve budget amendments.
Second.
Got a motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of payroll and personnel.
Make a motion, we approve payroll and personnel.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 1, public hearing, consideration and action on adopting, approving, or ratifying proposed fiscal year 24-25 budget that does not raise more taxes than fiscal year 23-24 budget or all related issues. All right, this time, we'll open it up to public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak at this time can come forward. But y'all are racing. You win, Paul.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Like I know most of y'all.
Name, address for the record.
Paul Fry, 2127 County Road 3210, Campbell, Texas. I know most of every one of y'all. I worked for Precinct 3 for 22-plus years. I want to touch on something. I live on a family farm. I'm fifth generation. My family's been farming since 1856. I still live on the original land. And I've got 3 sons, which will be sixth generation, 2 grandsons. I would like to see them be able to keep this family farm going so that we can keep a heritage in this county. There's not many farms that's left. Everything's get covered up with concrete. You know that as well as I do. Families are moving out. I'd like to see my family stay. I just wanted to touch on that because my family means a lot to me, and I'd like for my kids to be able to pay taxes on this farm and keep it going. Thank you.
You're preaching to the choir. I'm 4th generation since 1914 on the property I live on.
My name is J.L. Shelton, 249 County Road 33. I know him. It's not a whole lot of older folks here today, but there's a few of us. We have a hard time paying taxes. If you increase them, what are we going to do? Another question is, I see all the new houses and property going up. They pay taxes, don't they? Do they pay taxes? I mean, there's hundreds of new houses been built in Hunt County. The taxes from that should cover any increase that you're thinking about. But I thank you for listening to me and thank you.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
My name is Ivy Pitts. I live at County Road 934, County Road 4122 in Campbell, Texas, 75422. I'm going to cover this up because I'm going to speak for my family for a moment. I'm here on multiple issues, but a vote for no new tax increase is still a budget increase for the county due to all of the increase in homes being built in the area. With the surplus that's in your account, you still have the ability to cover the cost of doing business and doing the projects that you need to accomplish. I do not think that the increase in percentage rate is necessary. Our home values have gone up, our property values have gone up, and even without that tax percentage increase, the overall budget value is still increased in the county, and that is very sufficient to cover the cost of doing business and covering the cost of what you guys perform and we do appreciate what you do. It's necessary, it's vital. So I don't want to go without recognizing that, the appreciation for the time and energy you spend providing for us. But that said, with the surplus that you have, the budget increase, the additional percentage increase, I don't believe is necessary.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Oh.
John Kelso, 6005 Horn Drive, Greenville. I'm just don't understand exactly when you're voting on the budget. Item 1 here talks about the budget. Item 17 talks about the fiscal year 24. When are you actually going to vote on the budget, now or at item 17?
That's 17 is a leftover for discussions from previous agendas that didn't get pulled off. That's just an error on the agenda.
Okay, so you're going to vote on it now. I wish you'd have some discussion rather than just listen to us complaining out here. Again, I'm not complaining about the tax rate. As a citizen of Hunt County and a taxpayer in Hunt County, I'm okay with a tenth of a penny increase, 2/10 of a penny increase if it'll go right to the fire departments in the county. I really think they need it, and I really wish you'd have a discussion before you vote on this about, is there anything you could do to help those guys out? The hotter it gets, the more those lines droop, trees grow up every year. Pretty soon you've got potential for fire hazard there, and it's just going to get worse. So again, I'm not opposed to paying a little bit more of my share to help prevent someone's house burning down because the fire started half mile away because it's so hot and dry. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? Not, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, I want to make some comments before we start. I want to refer to Commissioner Hutchins' Facebook posting and clear a few things up. He states all the amounts of money we have, but he doesn't complete what those represent. First of all, he says we have $23.8 million in our fund balance. That is correct. We also have a fund balance policy that says that we must maintain 15% of our budget for fund balance reserve in case we have a year, taxes are getting paid slow, something happens, some emergency comes up. All personal financial advisors tell you to keep 3 months of salary in case you lose your job. Business is the same way. We have to have some level of security there. So that knocks off $15 million of that amount. And then he talks about the $12 million in capital improvement, and we don't have any plans for it and all. Well, that's just not true. Commissioner Hutchins voted to purchase Puddin Hill property. He voted to hire architects to redesign that property. We're having them here next week. We're planning on going out to bid in January for about a $13 million project to retrofit that property because we're out of space everywhere. And I've said it publicly several times. Hang on. You know, when I first got up here in 19, I thought the biggest crisis we had was the jail. Well, our space is even a bigger crisis now than the jail. And our voters' offices down there are terrible. We can't even vote there because it's not large enough. Somebody talked about growth. We've grown about 12% in the last 3 years. We're up over nearly 112,000 people from just under 100. So we're having growth, and we're having to spend money because of growth, and we've got to continue to plan for growth. So the plan is the voters' administration are going out to the Puddin Hill building. We get a lot of complaints at the courthouse because of our policy, or parking, first of all. Secondly, they have to come through security to go to the county clerk's office. just to get a get a marriage license or get a deed or whatever they need. And that has most traffic in there, we get a lot of complaints. So we're going to move the county clerk's office out there to make it more accessible to the public and easier to get to. We're going to move community development, 911, and environmental health out there. So when you go to build a house or a developer comes in, they don't have to go to this building and then the courthouse and maybe back to this building. They'll all be in one spot, so it'll make it a lot more convenient. And so that'll free up those space. And we're also taking Homeland Security out of this building and moving them to Puddin Hill. One, because they work with those a lot. Secondly, it gives us a law enforcement present on site all the time. So we may still have to have some security out there on top of it, but at least we do have law enforcement that will be housed out of that property. So that's all coming up, right away. And then, I guess, our intent, I'm not going to use the words he used, a plan, because I don't like his definition of plan. But our intent is, of course, when we move out of that building, out of all these 3 buildings, we got to retrofit those buildings to accommodate other people. The courthouse, part of the other reason for the clerk leaving, our judges are telling us we're going to have another courtroom. The only space big enough to put a courtroom in is the county clerk's office. So that one will be retrofitted to add an additional courtroom that we need. We need it some today, but in a couple of more years with the growth, we're going to be required to have another one. Our IT department has 4 employees, and they're in 4 different offices in the courthouse. With this move, we'll be able to put them all in their own office together, so they'll be more efficient. Our county attorney and district attorney are both out of space, and they both require several thousand feet of space. And we're trying to get one of them over here. We started with some plans. We started with some conversations with the architect and some others about how we can relocate everybody. And the best place, if we could get it here, would be to move one of those over to this building. But with what's just office space, it's not big enough to accommodate it, and to enlarge it to get it into the rest of this building, that's a solid concrete wall with rebar in it from floor to ceiling. And that's the separation with the old jail that's sitting on the other side. So we're going to have some people give us some cost numbers to see if it's worthwhile to go through that wall before we make a decision on what we do over here. And then if you've been in the Ag Extension and Voters building down there, it will become totally, the Ag guys outgrown it, they've outgrown the meeting room. That building is tired. It's got lots of issues with it. It needs help. And we're going to need to retrofit it and bring it up to date. And all that things, we don't have the definition of a plan that Commissioner Hutchins says, but there is intent to do all these things. We've talked about it for a long time. And if you look at what that is going to cost us, we're estimating about $2.5 million we're going to spend on all those improvements. And we hope we can keep it under that, and it may go up. Prices keep going up, as y'all all have stated. So that will bring us down to, 12.5 of the total of 42 or 3 that I've seen out on Facebook. And we still need, I've talked about it since I got here in 19. We got to replace the windows in our historical courthouse. In my office, it's got north windows in it. I have to nearly wear an overcoat in the winter with the wind blowing through it. And plus it gets water in mine, and several other windows around the courthouse. The courthouse has water coming into it, so we're going to get deterioration of our building if we don't get them replaced. We would have replaced them several times. It's been real hard. First of all, the Historical Commission wanted us to take them out and put them back in, and we asked, can we put some new panes in it so we can get some, energy efficiency? oh no, you got to put back the exact same glass. Well, I can assure you, since 1929, when the courthouse was built, there's probably not much original glass in that building. It's probably been broken and replaced over time, but that's what they wanted. So we've decided that we can do replica windows and get some insulation factors, and all that needs to be done as soon as we can get a contractor to do it. And we, with the growth, we need a courthouse annex out in the Caddo Mills, Roy City area. All those people the largest part of our growth is out there, and they're having to come in here, and they complain about having to come all the way into Greenville to register to vote, or pay their taxes, or register their car. It's an inconvenience for them. We have annexes in Commerce and Quinlan, but we don't have anything west, and that's where all the growth is. So that has to be addressed very quickly. So with those, we're down to about $9 million left, and we've already made a decision and voted on it, or at least have given head nods for Commissioner Monroe and I to go look for a property, because where their barn's located is in a terrible spot. It's right next to the high school, and when they're trying to pull out to go to work, all the school traffic's there, and we got big trucks and equipment trying to go in and out. It's not a safe, good place for us to be anymore. So we need to get out of there and buy another place. So we anticipate with the land, and hopefully we can get the land, and where we can add an annex in that same property is what we've been looking for, is a piece big enough that we could do both. So, we're looking at another $1 million for the new commissioner's barn. We've already approved to redo the parking lot across the street, $250,000. We have estimated $250,000 of repairs at the jail. We got to replace all the air conditioners on top of it. They're all starting to fail and getting too old, so we got to get them. There's like 39 of them. There's a bunch of them up there. And then last year, our outside auditors recommended, we are self-insured with our health insurance, and they recommended that we move $1 million into our insurance fund, because the way the bills come in and go out, that sometimes we're a little shy of cash flow there, so we need to pump that up. So we need to move $1 million at his recommendation to it from a couple of meetings ago. So that gets us down to $6.5 million that we got on hand. And then we have talked about the volunteer fire department at almost every meeting, I guess, over the last few months. And we've had different prices and different things, and that, we know it's going to cost us somewhere around $2 million. And that gets us down to now cash on hand at $4.5 million. And with Commissioner Hutchins' recommendation to go to no new revenue, and I know a lot of y'all want to go to no new revenue, that puts us in the hole. In 2 years, we'll be without cash. And so, we're trying to be proactive in. No, it's not. If we have a negative fund balance every year, which he has proposed, and we've had it we've had a negative fund balance the last 2 years. No, excuse me. Yes, last two or 3 years. We did a no new revenue for 2 years. We have one of the lowest tax rates for counties probably in the state of Texas, except for maybe like Rockwall, that's a fraction of the size, and they got the biggest houses and most expensive property around. Hopkins County, Fannin County, Kaufman County, they're all over 40 cents. Our counties that we compare ourselves to is Bastrop and Liberty. Bastrop's adjacent to Travis County, Liberty's adjacent to Harris County. We're about the same geographic size. We're both bumping up against large metropolitan areas, so we have the same issues. We have to pay more for firefighters, we have to pay more for police, we have to pay more for, all those salaries are higher. I don't mean to say firefighters, I mean to say sheriff's office. we have to compete west of here to keep them. And we've had to give tremendous raises. But they're all in the 40, 42 cents, 43 cents. And the one common denominator in all that is, they're paying debt off. We don't have any debt. Our debt rate's less than a penny. It's a half a cent. All theirs are 4 to 7 or 8 cents. So it sounds good that we go borrow money, but all it does is increase the taxes. And, I don't think it's blight, and I'm not saying that we can't make some adjustments. We hear you, and I appreciate y'all being here, but some of this is totally not accurate, and I'm sorry that you were misled thinking we got 43 million just sitting around with nothing to do with it, because it's all pretty much obligated. Now, certainly those things can change over time, and I just don't understand Commissioner Hutchins' kind of attack on me, I guess especially in the court, because, he did this last year. He voted for all the spending and voted no on the budget. This year, he's voted on all the spending, but he didn't want to pay for it. And not only now, even in this letter, he says we should spend more money on volunteer firefighters and a new radio system and raise to the retired county employees and more increases volunteer fire department. We've already talked about the fire department and all agreed to give a stipend there of, I think we decided on $500. We'll vote on that later. Spending's okay, but it takes money. So I don't, it's hard to understand sometimes. In July, the Women in Need and a hospital came up and asked for some ARPA funding. I think the Women in Need asked for $50,000. They're still over from the COVID. There's a lot of family violence. They're having more traffic in their facilities and more demand than they've had in a long time, and they asked for $50,000. And the court voted on it, and it was 4-1. Commissioner Hutchins voted no and said that he was okay with it, but he was a no because we didn't have a plan to spend the ARPA funds, which is okay. Except for the next meeting, he came back and brought the fire department here and wanted to spend $2 million without a plan. So which is it? I mean, I don't know if we want a plan or don't want a plan. I can't follow, even reading all this, I can't, with what I do and how, with my job, I don't follow any of his thought processes that make any sense. But I want the public to understand that we're not just sitting on $42 million. It's committed, and we'll do everything we can to, we'll relook at it. I don't plan to call for a vote today on our budget or our tax rate because we've had several requests for changes to the budget, for additions that people had left off that we need to get added, and we need to get those in so we can get correct numbers before we vote. So we won't be taking a vote today. We will take it at the next regular meeting, the 24th.
You can do a special meeting as well.
Oh, we can? You said this morning we couldn't, but. Okay. Well, to a specific day? Okay, so we can discuss that later then.
That date is that the 24th? I know
Well,
it has to
but we
be
can do
done
it.
by
I was-
September 31st, but the 24th the cutoff?
No.
Okay.
No, we can vote today for a special meeting on a specific date and time. Or we can do it at the next regular session, which is what I'd understood earlier.
Your Honor,
right.
I'd like to bring one more thing up that we were considering in reference to, and that was a pay raise for the retirees that have not had an increase since 2007 or 2008. And I have had several people ask that, and we had talked about discussing that later on also.
Yep, we talked about that a second ago.
Judge, are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to address some of the things you said.
Mhm.
I had to start taking notes because at the end of that, I was starting to forget what was said at the beginning of it. But I don't think we're as in disagreement as you say we are, because you made a pretty good case there for having a capital improvement plan while also confirming we don't actually have one. Yes, there are projects we've talked about. Yes, there's some actions we have taken. But we still do not, this Commissioner's Court does not know how much they are going to cost. So I'm not willing to just keep money set aside for future projects without knowing what they're even going to cost. In fact, when we moved money from the fund balance to capital improvement for things like the Puddin Hill project, I asked at that time how much that project was going to cost. And there wasn't a number, and I said, well, I'm really not comfortable. We can do it, but and I asked the question, if we're able to, can we move that money back to the fund balance? And was told we could. So at that time, we didn't have a plan. Significant amount of time has elapsed, and we still don't have a plan. So you're correct. We do need a capital improvement plan. I've been on that bus, on that train for a long time. Continue to be on it.
What part of having an architect?
You spoke for a while.
I understand, but I'm just trying to.
A Puddin Hill plan is not a capital improvement plan. We have a whole lot more capital needs than just Puddin Hill, some of which may actually merit priority over that project. It's good that we have it in our ownership now, but just because we own it doesn't mean that now is the time to dump additional millions into that project when we have other needs, including annex offices and new barn locations, because I agree that's a perilous and terrible location for a county barn in Caddo Mills. So we have a number of issues. We need to be able to look at all those items in a capital improvement plan with some educated estimate of what they're going to cost before we make plans to allocate the money to those capital improvements. So a Puddin Hill plan is not a capital improvement plan. I'd love to have a capital improvement plan. If you want to schedule a special court session to start talking about that, let's do it. I've got nothing more important going on. So we do need a capital improvement plan, and as you have confirmed, we do not. And I will not raise taxes on people for a wish list. So you also said, you even used the word intent and then said you don't agree with my definition of a plan. Well, my definition of a plan is having a cost estimate and a time frame for doing it, and your definition of a plan is intent. That's an argument I'm willing to have all day, every day. Also, I'd like to point out to you, Judge, I voted no on the last budget. I did request budget cuts to it then, as I have done this year. I sat in your office with a spreadsheet. I went through every line item of that budget, identified areas where it was obvious that there was padding added to that line item, just as I did at our last meeting on the 3rd of this month, and went over, did the same thing, only I did it with the rest of the commissioners because it was clear to me that you had no interest in cutting the budget. So that's just wrong. You said so much that was wrong. And you keep saying that we have these money's obligated. Who obligated them? You don't count. You're one vote. So just because you've obligated them in your head doesn't obligate them. Secondly, regarding the 75,000 to win, I think it was 75, it might have been 50. I would point out, as I pointed out then, the radio project is an ongoing project we have now. We're sinking millions of dollars into a new radio system, as we should be doing, because it's a desperate need. And it doesn't do a dang lot of good to those people out in the unincorporated parts of the county to have a fancy new radio system that can't communicate with the efficiencies it needs to our volunteer fire departments, because they're on an old antiquated system with old antiquated radios. So you know you misrepresented that situation, and the public can go confirm it by watching the video. So it's not true I have not suggested cuts. I'm also willing to suggest further cuts. I mean, I suggested I think it was a net of about 1.5 million at the last meeting. I'm happy to go deeper if this court wants to. But this is an outlandish, absurd budget proposal. And you say that we go along with these recommendations. Well, as you know, and as you have said many times, our budget process is a little bit backwards. But we have to start preparing our budget before we know what the certified appraised values are. So when I prepared my budget, I looked back at the previous years and put together a budget for my precinct, intentionally conservative, because I didn't want to have to make a bunch of cuts after I submitted it. And sure enough, my budget came back with $149,000 surplus. Now, I would like to make some changes to that and add that surplus back into my road and bridge material. But it is certainly possible to estimate a conservative budget. I did it. If you didn't do it as the chief budget officer of the county, that's not the taxpayer's problem to have to make up now. And that's what I've got to say.
So the $1.5 million that you say you presented last time was like $1.7 million. And $1 million of that is taking road materials, $1 million of road materials out of all 4 of the precincts. And $250,000 is contingency expense at the Exchange Building. The Exchange Building is not part of the taxpayers' dollars.
But it is part of the budget.
It is part of the budget, but the money that's generating the revenue is off of leases in that building, that it's a profit center for the county. It's not.
Taxpayers' profits.
It is, absolutely. I'm not denying that. But we have money there. We're not moving money into Fund 10, which is taxpayer money. And the contingency expense was because in the last 3 years that maybe 4 years, we spent close to $500,000 having to make immediate emergency repairs on the parking garage. We had a water cooler and heat and air system fail 2 or 3 years ago. It cost us $200,000 or $300,000. We just spent $400,000 in renovations to floors 4 through 7 for the leases on the state's property at their request, and they're reimbursing us over a 5-year payout. And then this current year, we're spending $700,000-800,000 having to replace the elevators. So, I mean, and then we had to redo all the outside windows because we had a windstorm, and because of the age of the windows, the insurance wouldn't cover it. And I don't remember the number. I think it was like $100,000 we spent resealing all of the windows. So there's things with that old building that just, they happen. And,
Judge, the patting me on the head approach is not working out. So we have a contingency line item that was $2 million in the last budget. And my actual recommendation was that, hey, if you want to cut some of these amounts from these line items.
You're talking about another budget now. You're not talking about the Exchange Building. You're talking about Fund 10 now. The $2 million is in Fund 10.
Can the $2 million not be spent for contingency emergencies on the Exchange Building?
It can. Yeah, it should be able to.
It can?
Yeah.
How much did we budget in contingency for the current budget year?
$2 million.
How much have we spent year-to-date?
Oh, in this year's?
Yes, sir.
I don't know the latest, $300,000, I think.
Way under $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
You are padding these line items to justify a tax increase. It is not necessary.
Well, I disagree. We're sitting here with.
You can argue with the numbers.
We got a 100-year-old building sitting around here. We got a jail that's not in good shape. I don't know. We can't, if something happens, we can't spend the money if we don't have budgetary authority. I don't know another way to do it except to provide a contingency number so when things happen, like elevators go out, something catastrophic happens, that we got budgetary authority. We don't always spend it. If we don't spend it, it goes back into the fund balance.
But you don't budget contingencies into each individual line item. You have a single contingency line item.
Correct.
I think we agree.
So where are you saying there's padding into the budgets?
If you would like to have a budget workshop between now and when we adopt the budget, I'm happy to do so. I presented some suggestions next week. Maybe they weren't all good, that's fine. I recommend we all go find $1.5 million in cuts and we'll compare notes.
That's fine. Anybody else?
But even if we didn't make any of those cuts, that's still, and despite your explanation, again, I'm not a math whiz, but you say we have the fund balance of 15%. Well,
25%.
25%. Well, that's still, you said 15, but that's okay. 25%.
$15 million is 25% of the budget.
Well, again, I'm not good at math, but you say 15%, I'm sorry, say that again?
Our fund balance policy says for the Fund 10, it's 25%. For y'all's budgets, it's 15% of the budget.
Okay, and you're
We
saying
got a
that
little
the
over
25% is 15.
It's $60-something million budget. I just rounded it up.
We have had budget surpluses and a high but fund balance for multiple consecutive years now, including the one the budget I voted against last year. That is the numbers telling you that the tax rate is too high and should be cut. And if there is a capital improvement plan that this court wishes to adopt and fund and plan for that funding in the future, let's do it. But 15% is less than 23.8.
25%.
Whatever the percentage.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. We want to talk about a meeting a special session to approve the budget.
I do. Excuse me, I do.
You got a suggestion?
My schedule's pretty flexible.
Anybody got?
Daniel, what's the count? What's the count that we have to have before we can hold another meeting?
2 hours.
How about Friday at 6? 6 p.m.
I can't be here Friday. How about next Tuesday?
I'm available.
What date?
Tuesday, the 17th, at 6.
I can make it work.
Everybody okay with that? Daniel, you okay with that? You got a meeting, you don't have another meeting that night, do you?
Wait a second, are you looking at Tuesday, the 17th?
Yes. In order to do that with the notices that are in the paper, there must be a motion to postpone action until that date and time.
Okay.
It has to be in the motion. The
Okay.
specific date and time. And postpone, not table.
All right, so I entertain a motion to postpone the public hearing and consideration adopting and approving the fiscal year 2024, 2025 budget till Tuesday, September 17th at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Location.
This location.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 2, public hearing, discussion, and action on adopting or approving the proposed fiscal year 2024, 2025 tax rate that will not exceed the voter approval rate, but will exceed the no new revenue rate and all related issues, and record the vote. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody wishes to come and speak, please step forward and state your name and address. Being none, I'll close the public hearing.
Excuse me, Your Honor, would you explain what that means? That way everybody understands it.
Explain the tax rate.
I'll explain the exceeding the voter approval tax rate, but not exceed the no new. Do y'all understand that?
So the state changed the rules in 19, I think. The old rules were we had an effective rate and rollback rate, which effective rate's the same as the no new revenue rate. So it means that we're not spending any more money than we spent in the previous year. The old rollback rate is now the voter approval rate. The rationale for changing that, which I totally agree with, under the old rule, the entities could go up 8%, and then if they went over that, the public had to sign a petition to call for a vote. And now with the no new revenue rate, if we go, with the voter approval rate, if we go over that, we have to call the vote, which takes the responsibility off of the voters, which I think is a good way to do it. I think what they've done is make a mess of it and makes it real hard to plan for budgeting. The tax calculation worksheet they have now, that used to be just to figure a percentage of what you spent last year and how much you could spend next year. Now it's a 10-page calculation. And it's complicated. I had one of the trainers that teaches this course. It says it takes 2.5 days to teach people how to use this. And I asked him, how could we specifically know what, if we're doing something this year, how will it affect us next year? Will it affect our rate going up or down? And he says, I can't tell you that. I don't understand how that would work. So it's a little more complicated, but the no new revenue rate is we're not spending any more money than last year's budget. The voter approval rate is established by these calculations that we can't go over a certain amount or we have to call an election. Sure.
I'll just, Jeff Phillips, 603 Mink Drive, I'll reiterate what everyone's already been saying, is that we're urging this court to adopt a budget that doesn't exceed, I would even say might reduce what it was last year. I've run hundreds of people over 5 countries and 4 continents. I've done many budgets. And you got to have a plan in order to put something in place. All due respect, Mr. Stovall, that was a list which I've been in your seat and I've given plenty of lists to my teams as well. But I've also been shot down because I didn't have a plan for that list. There's things that we want to do. There's must-haves that we need to do. There's like-to-haves, and a lot of that list might be like and not must. But funding things that aren't fully vetted on the backs of the taxpayers is not acceptable. The valuations in this county is criminal. It's just not the tax rate. So I don't know if you can answer this question or if it's appropriate to answer here, but who does the valuations in this county, and is that an elected position?
It's chief appraiser, and it's not an elected position. And if you want to complain, my opinion is you need to talk to the legislature, because the legislature has set the rule that says if they do not appraise it at 90 or 99 or 100% of market value, the school districts in which those properties are will lose state funding. And 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that, we had 5 or 6 school districts that lost all state funding because of the appraised value. So they've really got to put a lot of heat on the appraisers to get it to market value, as the state determines what its market value is.
By design.
It is.
Because you can't pin anybody down.
Jeff, for the public's benefit, the chief appraiser is not an elected position. However, there is a board that hires that oversees that position. And that board is comprised of members who are elected by the different taxing entities. And recently, the last legislative session, there was legislation that actually made, I think, 3 of those positions directly electable on the ballot by voters. So if people are understandably frustrated with their appraisals, it is true that the system sometimes seems finely tuned for nobody to be in charge of it. However, if you drill down, there are people who do have say in that, and you should absolutely start with, you can contact the board and figure out who represents you and how they got elected, and talk to the taxing entities about why they are appointing the people to that board that they are. That being said, it is also true that the chief appraiser is largely bound by state law, and you absolutely should talk to your legislative representative about that.
I would like to further iterate in that basically they can only hold so many long terms. Am I correct?
Do what?
Yeah. There's a term to whatever they hold, but it came out last year, didn't it, that law?
Term limit, is it what you said?
Yeah, there's a limit time, I believe.
I don't remember that. I'm not saying there's not, but I don't remember that. Come ahead.
Thank you. I have a small business also, and I have to, when I plan a budget, I have to have a plan on what that money is going to be spent for, okay? That's really important. Just like your family, you're going to plan a budget, you're going to do this or do that, and you have a list of what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Planning is a huge thing, okay? No disrespect to you whatsoever. I'm not saying you're not planning, but planning is very important. And then you've got to have a plan of action and act on it, make it happen, you know. I know there's repairs that need to be done, you stated that, makes sense, okay? What doesn't make sense on a few things to me is I have no trouble voting here in Greenville when I come. Never an issue. I've been voting in here for 9 years. Never a problem, okay? So somebody's whining, don't know why, okay? That area is great for me. Why do we need to spend tax money to change that? Okay, yeah, it's an old building. It's not up to date. Okay, we're going in there. We're voting, okay? We don't need lounge chairs. I don't understand, okay? Why we need to spend money to do something different.
Well, this year, I mean, currently in November, you'll be voting, if you vote early, you'll be voting out at the Civic Center, because in big elections, they're wrapped around that building a lot of the time, out in the weather, and so we take it out to the Civic Center so there's room for people to get in, and it's fairly active. I mean, last presidential election, I got a call early in the morning because there was a misprint in the paper. The paper misstated what time early voting started, and they were lined out from the front door to 69 waiting to get in there to early vote. So, yeah, so it's, the problem is down there, and plus it's the staff. I mean, we have 66,000 registered voters in this county now. And they're coming in and out, and we've had to add staff to keep up with it, and there's not enough room for the staff and all the things they need to be doing.
I understand. Yeah, I do vote early. The other thing is I don't really think we need more places to go pay our car taxes. I don't mind driving to Greenville. I don't mind driving to Quinlan to do that stuff. I mean, there's some things
Paying online.
You can pay online also. So I don't we don't need another location that's been use that money for something we really need. Don't listen to all the whiners about you got to drive.
So we just listen to y'all. We don't listen to the other ones. Is that right? I got it. Okay.
They're fussing about driving 10 miles to pay taxes, and what's that going to take them? 15 minutes? I mean, we don't need to.
I understand, but I mean, we got to listen to everybody, and we.
No, I know you do,
and
but we
so
don't
it's,
have to do that.
Some do complain, some don't. Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got one other question. I'll leave you alone. I forget what we called it, but when you reach a certain age, you're
over 65.
Right. Okay. So mine started. They didn't let mine start till I was 66 for some reason. So, which I'm over that now. But how how does that really work? Is it frozen and it's not going to go up on me, or does it go up? Because I'm hearing different things.
It is capped.
It's capped, the value's capped.
The value is capped of my property, but my taxes can still go up?
The amount you pay is capped. The values can do whatever they
Go up
want.
and down,
They can go
right,
up by
correct.
1,000%, but the amount you pay is capped at the number when you turn 65 and are eligible for it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Yes, sir.
Hi, just Steve Anderson, 3082 Legacy Oak Circle, Greenville. Mr. Martin,
Yes, please.
could you reiterate on what you just said about what you brought the vote on right now? You said it was 8%, which the city can do what they need to do with, and then after that, it goes to a bond for voter approval.
Say that again.
I think that was me that was talking about the old voter, the old rate.
You were talking about the old ways of what it used. What we did is we came up with the meaning of the terms that are being used. That's what I discussed and he explained.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
All right. Where were we at? So we haven't voted on it yet. We voted on one, though. Okay. All right, Commissioners, should we have to do the same thing, to postpone it? Okay.
Number 2.
All right, so Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to postpone today's public hearing and discussion of adopting and approving the proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 tax rate until next Tuesday, September 17th at 6 p.m. in this building.
Second. Well, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 3, the Treasury's monthly report for July 2024.
Ooh, hard to follow.
You can do it.
Yes. Good morning, gentlemen. In your packets, you would have received the treasurer's monthly report for month-end July 31st, 2024. At the end of July, we had a month-end balance. This is all funds, special and dedicated, general road and bridge, all funds included $67,625,381.19. That is in cash and bank and invested funds. The bank reconciliations have been done and reconciled and approved by the auditor. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brittany. Action item number 4, to discuss and possibly take action on the Hunt County Radio Committee report. Mark?
Judge, if we're going to receive a report from our GrantWorks consultants on ARPA funding disposition, it might be better serving us if we switch the order of those.
Okay. So we'll skip that for now?
Wait a second, is that report going to be given today?
Yep. All right, so we'll skip 4 and go to 5, update our ARPA funding GrantWorks. Okay, so you need to put it up on the screen? Yes.
There you go.
Okay, good morning. My name is Tracy Graham. I'm with GrantWorks. I serve as a project manager with GrantWorks. There's a team of us, actually. So there's actually 3 of us that work on this on Hunt County. Basically just going to cover our status report, kind of where we are. I'd first of all like to thank the staff, because we have really been asking them for quite a bit of information. So thanks to Jessica, Aubrey, definitely Miss Mary, and definitely the judge, because we have definitely been in their ear and asking for a lot of information. But this is a monthly ARPA status report, and I'll just, where do I click? Oh, you gave it to me. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you all can hear me. Basically, what it shows here is the total allocation of ARPA funding. And this is just basically where, we've had to, all the monies that have actually been spent, we've had to go through all of those documents and basically make sure we're looking. Our goal as grant administrators is to basically make sure we provide that guidance on these projects, that we're following those financial CFR 200 guidance and those things like that. So on this first page, it's just basically showing where, how much is remaining to expend, and I'll go through each of the next screens. And this report will be provided to the commissioners as well, if you have not already received it. Again, this is each project. We had to go in and put a description of what each project was. Again, the judge mentioned about the beneficiary, services that were provided, all the different contracts that were done prior to GrantWorks coming on board. What we basically had to go back in and do is to get that backup documentation, and we're still working on that at this point. But we wanted to provide at least the status of what monies have been spent thus far. And it shows all the different projects from the professional services with GrantWorks, beneficiaries for the internal medicine residence program, equipment purchases. I won't go line by line, but this shows all what we've been working on since the last time we were here, as far as as far as the funding that has been distributed. Can y'all hear me? Okay, all the funding that's been distributed, and we'll go on to the next page. Again, we won't read each of these, but this is what we've actually had to do. We will have to provide compliance and backup for each of these projects. And I think what you all want to know is basically restricted fund balance. We're looking at about 2.7 million, and there's a total to obligate by the end of the year, both total restricted and unrestricted, about 6.6 million. So that's kind of where I think you all want to know what was available, what was actually there. But again, any projects that are added or that you all decide you all want to agree upon to use ARPA funds for, they will be added to this report. We will update this report on a monthly basis. Again, any changes to it, we make sure the staff knows. If there's any information that we need, they get that information as well. But again, I don't do this by myself. I do have a team of people that work with me on this. And so that's our contact information. So if you can't get me, you can get Derek or Glenn. But again, not to go through the entire report line by line, but just to let you know, every time you add a project with ARPA, there's compliance documents that have to be added, as well as those figures have to be verified. So we're requesting invoices, we're requesting, sometimes we feel bad, we're requesting things from like the architects, we're requesting those design things, we're asking some of those same questions you all were asking today. So the judge and all, we're going through those same processes, because when you're putting a project together, we have to have those things. So, but does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Tracy, can you go back to that first page?
Yes, sir. The very first page. This one or this one?
The previous one, yeah, that one.
Yes.
We got total allocation of 19 million. I thought we had like 19.2 something or 19.
Yes, and that's my partner in crime, so we'll get that updated.
And then total estimated budget is 25,890. We didn't have 25 million.
No, he's added in the extra, like if you all were going to do, the administrative building, any ones that, so we'll get that updated.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What he's done is like any, I guess, matching dollars you all were putting in.
Gotcha.
So that needs to come out. But again,
Okay.
the 19 million, that will reflect, and we'll get that sent back.
Okay, all right.
If not today,
Thank you.
tomorrow.
I just, those didn't make
Tracy.
sense.
You're right, you're right.
Tracy,
Yes.
in reference to the interest this is made, is it involved in this here report also? Because there's,
Interest?
interest?
Oh, no, that's
Okay.
included, so.
Now, the interest, do you have any idea how much that we have gained at this time from that?
I have not requested that at this point.
Brittany can tell us, I think.
Okay, and from my understanding, that does not have to be spent as ARPA money. In other words, it can be spent as we desire. Am I correct?
Yeah, we budgeted $1.4 million or something in this year's budget to spend that money. Up until the end of the year, because we have to take it out by 12/31.
That's right.
And so we'll keep it and earning interest as long as we can. And
And
we budgeted $1.3 million or $4 million.
Okay, we're advised that we have right at $7,103,182.28, and you say out of that, how much, what is restricted?
2.7 million.
2.7, and that's as of right now?
Yes.
Okay, and unrestricted?
Estimated of about 6.6.
Can you tell us a little bit how the change in the restricted came out with the last changes? It opened up a little bit, didn't it?
It did. It opened up, as far as with the restricted funds, what you could, like, I know with the unrestricted, you can always turn that in.
Do what you want to, pretty much.
Put that back in. But with the restricted, you have some options on different projects you can do. I won't, as far as, you know, some communities are just, you know, they may not decide to go with certain things, and it could be for roads, bridges, whatever. But
That's we can't spend restricted money on that part.
no, you cannot. So it's, the main thing is to make sure that the funding is, you know, it's whatever it's restricted for, sticks with that.
So we need to give you some projects, and then you tell us if we can spend it on restricted or not. Is that the way we
Yes.
need to do it?
And that's our biggest part. We provide the guidance.
Right.
We want to make sure.
No, I understand.
Because they will reject these projects in management, for sure.
Yeah, well, like I said, I know that, of course, that's why we wanted y'all on board, because y'all got a way better handle on it than our other people that was helping us did.
We hope so.
And you do. And so, I know the new changes, the old changes were pretty restricted, but I thought they'd loosened it up just a little
They did,
bit.
and I should have had that on the screen for you.
That's
but
fine. That's fine.
That's really important to note, but I can actually, send that back. We can
Yeah, if
share
you
it.
would to the commissioners
I
and.
will, so that they can have it.
And myself, so that we can, because as we start talking about how we're gonna spend the last of it, we'd like to know all our options.
Yeah, I'm all about documents, so I definitely rather.
I know you are.
Tracy, I'd like to ask this question because we've waited for you to give this report such a long time. I know you've done a lot, and I appreciate that. It all come up in reference to, as far as the radios, with the, and I believe you know what I'm going to ask, on the unrestricted, the 6.6. This money is available at the Commissioners Court, so desire to possibly set aside monies in reference to buying radios, so that for communications with the fire departments, also the schools, and this was with the school security aspect, that was an unfunded mandate that they have direct contact with dispatch and stuff like that. But also, we had, in reference to some cities that could not afford these radios, therefore we'll have a lot of confusion. Now, this unrestricted, if it so be the desire of this court, can that money be used for that situation?
That could be.
Pardon?
Yes, that could be. But again, this is what you want to understand. When we're talking about guidance, we're dealing with federal funds. We want to document, it's for government services for sure, but we want to document, is there a reason that we're looking at something like this? Is there a federal mandate where radios have to be on some type of system? You want to provide as much documentation because our auditors know when you have an audit, you have to be able to explain, are we just making this purchase because someone says we need new radios, or is there a reason our radio's not up to the new broadband system or whatever? So that's the kind of information I'll have to collect. But yes, it could be, based on your vote, yes. It could be something that could be used for the unrestricted funds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
We can put it online. Okay, well, if you send it to Jessica, then we'll post it on our website. All right, do we, updates, we don't need to take any action. So we'll go back to 4.
Sure.
Okay. Back to 4, discuss and possibly take action on the Hunt County Radio Committee report.
Yes, Judge. We heard from Virginia Phillips with the Sheriff's Department last week. She gave this presentation. I'm not sure we actually let her finish it, but I appreciate her being willing to update us. And so, I mean, it really boils down to there just remains action to take and for us to decide what we want to do about that. I believe, Virginia, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the total number was $2,439,485. I don't know if that factored in an additional $5,000 to Celeste. How about you come to the mic if you don't mind?
Virginia, I apologize for asking the difference from one item to the other.
The current numbers right now, not including the Celeste thing, because we don't know, that's kind of one of those maybes out there. So right now, just off of the confirmed numbers that we have, the total for both law enforcement agencies and fire agencies is $2,401,950. That includes radio purchases and installs for the mobile radios. Now, the mobile radio installs are quoted high, so that there's some room there. It is a little padded.
Could you repeat that number?
$2,401,950. I got you this time, Martin.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate it. If I was buying a car and they went up on something, I'd want to know the difference, and I didn't mean to embarrass you by no means.
And the reason that I had those numbers split is because we'll be going live with this in January, for sure, on the law enforcement side, 100%. So the reason I split those numbers is so that we had one for law enforcement that is coming very quickly, and then one for fire. So that's why I had them split.
In Virginia, my understanding is, since our last meeting when we discussed this, I've been in contact with AMR. My understanding is that the technical questions have been largely resolved. And I apologize, Dave from AMR was going to be here today, but he had some, in the emergency world, he had some emergencies come up, so he couldn't make it. But my understanding is they're ready for us to pull the trigger on this, and they have a plan for it. So we need to, I've also confirmed with our consultant that there's certainly plenty of capacity. There's no issue with channels or talk paths or whatever it is on our system. So we would allow AMR on our system to continue dispatching the VFDs. So I'm unaware of any matters that need to be resolved that would prohibit us from taking action on this today.
I think AMR is just kind of waiting on us to pull the trigger, and so that they can start making those purchases as well.
Okay. And this might be a question for Tracy more so, but if we have these unrestricted ARPA funds, this court could today take a vote to designate them for this purpose and with the contingency that we have y'all review it and confirm that these actions are proper per federal guidelines. It's already been bid out. It's all been done. Okay.
Tracy, would you?
And I think I said unrestricted. I meant to say restricted actually where there's a 2.7, because we could vote, forward it to you for review, make sure everything is proper and in order, and then receive back confirmation before we actually write any checks.
Or did you say for restricted or unrestricted money?
I said unrestricted, but my question is for restriction.
Okay.
I meant to say restricted. But ultimately, it's good with me, either pie for it to come out of. So, Putting you on the, right, not today. We'd have to have you review it.
Okay, please come to the mic. Thank you.
My bad, I put you on the
Okay,
spot
the
back.
question, okay, so you're saying I asked a while ago with unrestricted.
Let her finish Mark's question first.
So let me restate the question for clarity. My apologies. So if we take a vote today to designate these funds that we've discussed, are we able to do it out of the restricted portion, or do we need to limit it to the unrestricted portion?
It was a specific purpose for
The specific purpose, which is for the purchase, yes, it's been bid out, we have quotes and everything.
I'm saying on the 2.7, weren't those funds restricted for a particular project?
Are you saying they're obligated to?
Were those funds already, when you all voted to put those in a restricted, were those voted to go towards a certain?
Not to my knowledge.
Restricted will be a lot easier.
Mhm.
Compliance, because we're still going to have to go back and review the process of advertising, the bid process, and.
You mean unrestricted would be a lot easier, okay.
Yes, unrestricted. Because you voted to, didn't you all vote to restrict those funds? You'd have to go back through all that.
I mean, we didn't vote, I think federal guidelines restrict a portion of them.
But I thought it was,
Yeah, we did the 10 million number, yeah. Okay.
you all had that for a certain project.
Gotcha. No. No, we
So
don't.
on the radios, Daniel, you may have to help me. We piggybacked on a bid out of Henderson County where they had bid it. And so
Van Zandt?
we attached our bids to theirs. Am I saying all that right? So, and it was all completely bid. Was it Van Zandt County?
That's fine. That's a good one.
Van Zandt, okay. I knew it was one of the counties that was bidding it at the same time we were doing it. And so we didn't have to go out to bid. They'd already done it, so we just hooked on to them.
That's a very good way to do it.
Yeah, saved us some money.
It does.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
So you're saying you need to review that process?
Yeah, I would need to review that process before I'd say yes or no on the other one. So I will get back with my team to make sure. I know you want it to come from that you're a request, that it comes from restricted instead of.
Just for informational purposes, so I understand. Yep.
I can do that. I can get
So
back.
can you have that by next Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
I can do that.
That work?
Is that okay? Before or Monday?
Our next meeting's Tuesday at 6
So
PM,
you would need a day, or you want at least,
or preferably Monday.
Well,
No, 6. We did for 6.
let's continue with court and we'll get back with you.
that'll be.
Sir, thank you.
Did you have?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mark?
Well, I guess if the court is indicating to the public that we agree that this is appropriate item to fund and we're committing to doing it, then I'm good to wait another week. But if that's still a question, then I would like to make a motion today that we designate the funds out of the unrestricted portion.
I've got a question on the radios. If we buy these, I know the fire departments need them. If we go on that, if we get the fire departments these radios now, are they going to be on the new radio system, or is that just going live for the sheriff's department? Because I'm sorry, but I'm unclear on that.
So there's kind of a lot to put into the radio system to make everyone be able to talk and everything. There's a lot on the background side that we have to do. It's not just like your VHF where you just put your frequencies in and everybody can talk to each other. So there is going to be some user training and things like that that we'll have to do. So the sheriff's office is on track to go live in January with all that training and all it's called fleet mapping, putting everything together on the system. Adding the fire departments and AMR is going to be a little more work on me. So I cannot guarantee that they will go live in January whenever the law enforcement does, but they'll be right behind us.
Would you even want to go live at the same time, working out the bugs on both of them?
Not really. I would prefer to go
No, you're
live with
saying
law
no.
enforcement so I can work all the bugs and things out like that and then get fire department on board as well. But I'm not talking another year out. I'm talking just a few months after we get law enforcement live.
Myself, I agree with your thinking on that, but, you know, for the last probably 2 to 3 months or whatever, we've been trying to reach this point. And as far as the unrestricted, yes, I would like to see the motion made, and I would like for us to set this money aside with that ticket on there.
Well, it'd be better for us if we did it with the restricted if we waited.
Daniel, would it be appropriate to make a motion to designate these sums from the restricted portion contingent upon review and approval by our grant consultant?
Yeah.
I mean, or you could just wait till the grant consultant looks at it, either way.
Yeah. You could actually say restricted or unrestricted, whichever is preferred. That way we can let them decide and say we accepted it.
I think we should go ahead and make the motion contingent upon that review and approval. If for whatever reason it is declined, at that point, we can revisit it and designate out the unrestricted portion. Review and approval of the RF, the bid process by our GrantWorks consultant.
Tells us if we can do it under the restricted money or not.
I understand. So is that the language that he's talking about, approval, is that what it should be? Because that, my understanding is you're giving advice, not approving or denying something.
No,
So can we say if it's confirmed that it's in the correct expenditures for restricted funds?
Yeah, I mean.
That, words like that work better?
May I ask one more question in reference to this, $2,401,950 and all that, would that also include the ISDs? Was that amount include the ISDs as far as security aspect? And also those cities that cannot afford them themselves, was that inclusive, that number inclusive of them also?
Yes, sir. It goes back to these numbers that I provided, I think, 2 sessions ago. And it's just, that's what all that total amount is, both law enforcement and fire combined.
Okay, do we need to state both of them in reference to that?
I don't know what it is that you're talking about.
Yes, Philip, that number is combined for the two.
Good enough.
So I would, so
So is it all the cities or some of the cities buying? I thought Caddo bought their own already or something.
It's going to be some of the cities. Cattle Mills PD bought theirs. Bland ISD PD bought theirs. Cattle Mills ISD PD bought their portable radios, but not mobile radios for their vehicles.
Okay, I thought, did you say Kettle Mills ISD? I thought they bought theirs too for the PD.
The ISD PD only bought mobile, portable radios, handhelds.
We're not buying anything else for them though, that's all they wanted?
They're only asking us to buy their vehicle radios, mobile radios.
Was Quinlan involved, Quinlan ISD and also Quinlan City and West Waukene?
Yes, sir. I've got Wolf City PD, Celeste PD, Lone Oak PD, Quinlan PD, Hawk Cove PD, West Waukene PD, Cattle Mills ISD PD asking for vehicle radios only, Lone Oak ISD PD, Quinlan, and Celeste ISD.
And Bland
Hawk
ISD.
Cove asked for? What was that Hawk Cove asking for?
Hawk Cove has asked for 4 portables and 4 mobiles.
And they got 1 police officer?
I think they have 3. I think they have 3 right now, and they have 1 open position.
I'm not sure about that. I'd like to see the whole report again. I don't remember seeing it, but if you could send it back, I'd like to review that.
Yes, sir. I'll get you rosters from each.
Yeah, thank you. Because since we haven't discussed all those, I don't care that we approve it now as long as we can strike some if we don't agree with it later on. Well, come up.
Okay, correct. Under the new eligibility category for emergencies, disasters, radios could be an appropriate response under the category 8.
Which is restricted.
Yes, yes.
Good.
Okay.
So Judge, we could just make a motion subject to confirmation of the individual department numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's fine. I'd like to see them all, but Hot cold, I heard that a while back, and that kind of bothered me, because they're, last I heard, they had a mayor and a police chief and something else, and it's all the same person, so I didn't know how many.
Well, approving this doesn't issue payment, we'll have to come back for that, so we can approve it today, then come back and strike some numbers if we need to prior to payment.
I agree with that.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we approve whatever the appropriate technical term is, $2,401,950 for purchase of the radios and installation as proposed by the Hunt County Radio Committee.
Second.
To be paid for.
Subject to be paid for from the restricted portion of ARPA funds.
I second that motion.
So we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 6, formal bid number 253-24, asphalt hot and cold mix, 12-month contract effective September 24th, 2024 through September 23rd, 2025. Awarded to all qualified bidders per attached bid award tabulation in Local Government Code 262.027E. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 7, the request for permission to work within the county right-of-way along County Road 1094. Encore is looking to install a single-phase overhead distribution line 5 foot inside the east right-of-way of County Road 1094 in Precinct 1 under normal stipulations.
Make a motion, we approve this under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 8, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities, which will be in the right-of-way of County Road 2716 in Precinct 2 under normal stipulations.
Make a motion, we approve this construction under normal stipulation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 9, upgrade of approximately 5,280 feet of County Road 2716 from rock to oil sand in Precinct 2. Money is in escrow.
Make a motion, we approve this upgrade, and money is in escrow.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 10, a variance request for road frontage in Precinct 2. Brian?
All right, and Mr. Gumpert is here. If y'all have any questions about what's going on here, he is requesting a road frontage variance. He is trying to move his son onto his family property. This will not require a plat. It's family-to-family division. So there again, he's just a little bit shy to get the additional 1 acre tract that he's wanting to deed to his son. So he's requesting a variance for that frontage.
May I ask a question in reference to this? This one that's yellow, is that track?
Yes.
Okay, the track down to the left of it, does father own the, right beside him, but what is the square right?
The 2 acre tract?
Yeah.
The 2 acre tract is a tract that Mr. Gumpert owns. That was probably something to do with a mortgage or a separation from the farm. So he owns the large tract 1, which includes that 2 acre tract that's shown in there as a little section out.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And so, Brian, the required footage would be 150, and they're requesting 140?
Correct.
10 foot shy.
Seems like a good request to me.
Make a motion, we approve this variance.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 11, a variance request for road frontage in Precinct 2.
Yep, and this is not actually a road frontage variance. I apologize, guys. This is an acreage variance. Mr. Barrett is here if there are any questions that he needs to answer. he is requesting a variance for acreage so that he can add an additional home and an additional septic system to his property. The original lot on the original plat stated 2 acres. With surveying, the old technology that surveyors used had error in it. The newer technology that's available now with GPS and total stations, it's quite a bit more accurate. Also in Texas, you can have things move pretty far each year just due to heaving and shrinking of the ground due to moisture. So whenever a surveyor recently came in and surveyed his property, it was discovered that he only had 1.94 acres instead of the original thought 2. As we know, Hunt County has a requirement for 1 acre per septic system, and each residence must have their own septic system. So in order to get the second residence on the property, he technically needs 2 acres, which he thought he owned. So, but come to find out, it's only 1.94, which 0.06 of an acre is not very much in the way of square footage. It's pretty small.
In reference to this, if I may, in actuality, on this, would they have to have half of it? Or
Each system, since the property is so small and you would be dealing with 2 systems on approximately 2 acres, each system has to have a half-acre dedicated no-build zone. As you can see on the survey that I provided you, the hashed area, the shaded area, those are the 2 half-acre no-build zones.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
I make a motion, we approve the variance.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 12, a variance request for road frontage in precinct 4.
Okay, contacted by a developer. They are proposing to divide this tract in half. They want to create a 3.5 acre tract and a 2.5 acre tract. 2.5 acre tract would require 200 feet of frontage. They're proposing between 160 and 180 feet. The 3.5 acre tract would also require 200 feet of frontage, and they're proposing right around 200 feet. So they've got frontage for one, but they would be shy on the other by 20 feet or so.
This is up way north part of the county?
Way north.
Northeast?
904 is the FM road that splits Hunt County and Delta County, and this thing's just a couple miles before you get to Ladonia.
This isn't family to family like the other variances, correct?
This is not a family to family. I was contacted by a developer on behalf of the owner.
Brian, repeat for us the required footage and the requested footage.
How much are each one of them short?
For a 2 acre tract, they require 200 feet of frontage. For the 2.5 acre tract, they require 200 feet of frontage. For the 3.5 acre tract, they also require 200 feet of frontage. They've got
93 or 90, what is it?
They're a little shy.
Yeah.
387 feet of frontage, so.
187 and then 200 on the other one.
On the one drawing, correct. So 15 feet short, 13 feet short.
So they're asking for the variance of the 162 feet.
To the 100 and, well, what would be the remainder of the?
South track is.
The south track would be too narrow.
162, is that what they're asking for?
They're asking it to be 187 as opposed to 2.
Okay. So this
Of course,
sketch
these
is
numbers are
different
subject
than-
to change once they get an actual survey.
So this sketch of 162 is not right then?
No, the sketch, I was going by the hand-drawn picture on the quad pad that shows 387.
That's the one, that's what they really want.
Correct.
Okay,
Where's the road? Is it up here on this side?
all right.
Yeah, that's Farm Market Road.
Entertain a motion for approval.
I have a problem with it being a developer. And, you know, we've said all along, unless it's gonna be a family, like we've approved before, we didn't want to set a precedence for approving variances for developing. So I have mixed emotions about approving this.
I'm kind of a no, because I've turned down variances in my precinct, and that's what we're trying to clean a bunch of them up, especially on the south side. If you do it for one, you got to kind of do it for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think it's an unreasonable request, but we have to have a standard or reason. So if it's an unreasonable standard, then we should revisit that and make a rule change for everybody. But when you start granting outside of what we have an established policy of, you can paint yourself into a corner pretty fast. So it's not family to family. If it's family to family, I'd have zero problem with that.
Right. Well, the state pretty heavily regulates what we can require for family-to-family developments, and they don't want us to require much at all on family-to-family, so.
If
it's
I'm not
one of those things.
mistaken, isn't there in between those driveways, they have a policy in reference to that? I know that we got hit with that here a while back. What is that footage?
There are actually already driveways present on both of these proposed tracks. TxDOT typically on roads over 45 or over 55 miles an hour requires about 425 feet. But they have their own guidelines. I don't know what it is. I think some curves and traffic concentration and speed, and there's several factors for that.
So Brian, can they not reconfigure this to have a 1 acre lot and a 5 acre lot and only need 350 feet of frontage?
They could.
So they have an option to make this.
They have an ability to divide the property and make it work. The way they have it proposed, they don't have the frontage required.
I think they need to fix it to where it's within our rules and regulations, because otherwise we'll be putting ourselves in a bad situation under these other circumstances. We have rules and regulations in which I believe that those variances were given in good faith.
A 1 acre lot and a 5 acre lot combined only need 350 in road frontage, and they've got 387. So. Do we need to?
You want a motion to deny, or you?
You can't, whatever motion you want to make.
I make a motion to deny the variance request in precinct 4.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 13, a replat of lots 1, 2, and 5 of Cash Business Park Phase 1.
All right, and of course, this is a replat, so it'll have to have a public hearing. The owner is proposing to combine lots 1, 2, and 5. They were platted back several years ago, and he's wanting to combine them all and use them potentially for a commercial development.
Any questions? Entertain a motion for approval? Public hearing, sorry. This time I'll open the public hearing. Anybody wish to speak for or against the replat of lots 1, 2, and 5 of Cash Business Park Phase 1, please come forward and state your name and address. Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Now I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion, we approve this replat.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 14, the replat of lot 1 of CPMG Venue Addition in Precinct 2.
All right, and the owner, this is a little event venue out in that 1570 and I-30 area. They're actually purchasing some property behind them. They are currently platted, so they're adding some additional property to their site there. Evidently, the event venue business is big.
Any questions? This time I'll open it up to a public hearing. Anybody wishes to speak for or against this item, please step forward, state your name and address. Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 15, the final plat of Hughes Acres in Precinct 1.
Guys, I've got a few issues with this one that I think need to be resolved. I've contacted the surveyor requesting some additional information regarding current house placement. There are houses and rental properties on all these lots. They've been there for some time. They were built before the current subdivision regs were in place, and I've just got a few issues and a few questions that I think we need to have answered before it goes for a vote. So I would recommend let's table this until the one on the 24th and give me some time to get with the land surveyor, get that information answered that we need, and get this thing brought up to our county specs. We need a cul-de-sac on the end of the road and a couple other things, so.
I'd like to see that right away a little wider.
That's what I'm waiting to hear back from the surveyor. I just don't know if there's going to be much room to widen that stuff out, so.
Okay. Daniel, we just postpone it to the next, we have to take action on it?
Well, you have to take action to postpone it.
Okay. Entertain a motion to postpone action item 15, the final plat of Hughes Acres in Precinct 1 to the meeting on Tuesday, September 24th.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 16, the final plat of Wildwood number 2 in Precinct 4.
Pretty simple, two-lot plat, meet all the requirements. I have nothing more than that.
All right, any questions, Commissioners? Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Gents.
Thank you, Brian. All right, is there any other things before the court? Daniel, we need executive session? Items 1 through 4. Entertain a motion to go into executive session under items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Guy back here, Judge.
Whoa, excuse me.
Being able to be here and appreciate y'all what you do. I do have a suggestion though, since we do have a lot of houses being built right now, could there not be a short study to say, okay, we're going to have more revenue coming in from taxes and possibly not need 17% because we're going to have more? It's just a suggestion, okay? Just something, I'm sorry.
I understand.
Close enough. Yeah, just something to look at. You know, there might be enough revenue coming in to help offset some of that 17% we may or may not need, okay?
All right, thank you.
Very much, I appreciate you.
All right, so we had a motion, a second, to go into executive session under items 1 through 4. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're in executive session at 12:14. Fat fingered it. We up? All right, we're back in regular session at 12:35. Is there anything else before the court today? Being none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries, we're adjourned at 12:35. Thank y'all.